6:01 p.m. and I'm going to call this regular Washington Township School Board meeting to order. All 5 board members are present, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up, we have August recognitions. Dr. Kaiser.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Taylor, President Thompson, members of the board. We are excited to be recognizing some of the outstanding educators from our early learning center this evening. If you're being recognized when I call your name, join Dr. Taylor at the front to be congratulated by the board. Remain up front for a picture. We would greatly appreciate it. If you're here in support of a staff member and would like to get a picture, you are also welcome to do that with your picture. So we're going to begin our recognition this evening with Lynn Myers. Congratulations to Lynn Myers, who was selected as the recipient of the Indiana Division for Early Childhood INDEC Early Childhood Champion. As her nominator shared, his passion for early childhood intervention and education is evident in her responsive approach, providing individualized learning opportunities and strong, trusting relationships she has built with the students she has served, their families, broader educational communities, right? Her work is grounded in care, connection, and the belief that every child deserves specially full and meaningful learning experience. Lynn was formally recognized with the INDEC Early Childhood Champion Award at the Indiana Early Intervention Conference in Bloomington. And congratulations, Lynn, on this well-deserved recognition. Thank you for all you do to support Washington Township families, staff, and yeah, get in there.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Don't go anywhere, Miss. You're right up there. We're going to continue our ELC recognitions this evening with Dewey Listeri, Amanda Hauser, and Kristen Parisi. On June 5th, the Early Learning Center was invited to present as a pyramid model pilot site for the Indiana Department of Education. The ELC team shared the positive impact of implementing the pyramid model, highlighting the benefits they've experienced, the data they've collected, their implementation procedures, and the purpose behind their important work. Following the presentation, several team members were surprised with statewide recognitions. Those include Dewey Listeri, Pyramid Model Practitioner of the Year, Amanda Hauser, Co-Implementation Coach of the Year, get it? And Kristen Parisi, Pyramid Model Champion Award. Congratulations to this team and the entire Early Learning Center on these outstanding accomplishments. Thank you for all you do to support Washington Township families, staff, and the community through your dedication to our youngest learners. Thanks.
So happy for the second one start.
President Thompson, that concludes our recognitions for this.
Thank you. All right. Next up, School Spotlight, the Early Learning Center by Ms. Parisi.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor and President Thompson. Thank you so much for having us today. I'm here to talk about just the wonderful things that are happening with our youngest learners in our district, the Early Learning Center. So you just heard about our staff in the celebrations, and Dewey and the whole team. The work that we're doing at the Early Learning Center is fantastic. And it's a staff of 55, and every single one of them puts in all kinds of blood, sweat, and tears to make sure that the beginning time of a young learner's life is met with success and just love for learning. Our students this past year, we were able to increase the number of students in an inclusive setting, growing from 30 students to 51, with 36 of those 51 students being able to stay in our full day program. And the reason that, that's so important to increase those inclusive numbers, but also to prepare students to be more successful in kindergarten is such a goal of ours. So to be able to have those students here with us full day in a structured setting, I think has really helped them transition to kindergarten. We've heard some really great things already about the students who entered kindergarten this year, who were with us full day last year. And then I'm always going to be a champion for increasing the number of students who receive CCDF. And for this year already, we have 5 students who are receiving On My Way pre-K grant. And that has been just a goal of mine, is to make sure that we are opening up the possibilities for high quality early childhood education for all learners. Despite that, we are receiving less funding this year for those vouchers and grants. Our families are still choosing to come to us. They could go to another childcare facility for free, but when they come to us, they end up having to pay because we're part of a public school district, but they're still making that choice, which I think really says a lot about what they know their child will receive when they come to the Early Learning Center. You've heard a little bit about our recognitions for the work we've done through the pyramid model. Pyramid model's goal is to reduce the challenging behaviors that sometimes are present in schools. And so that has just been a fantastic effort. This year, we are partnering with the Early Childhood Center. Part of that grant in the agreement with the Indiana Department of Education is that we have a community partner. So the Early Childhood Center is housed inside the Church of the Crossing. They've been a great partner for us. We actually even stole a staff member of theirs to come over and be our receptionist, which has just been fantastic for us. And then we've added a lot of community partners over the past year. And one that has just been fantastic has been the Charleston's Restaurant Group, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. So this has been a struggle for me for 6 years. I'm not kidding. Just trying to get Early Learning Center data into whatever the school district's data system is. So in Washington Township, we use Power BI. In my previous school district, I had the same challenge. So I told Chad, I've spent 6 years trying to get my school's data in the data system, and Chad did it last year for us with Power BI. So that allows us to put our assessment data in there, iSprout, Indiana's Early Childhood Assessment. So we are getting to kind of tease apart all the data. We're getting to see where we are growing, where we still need to have some additional work done. We're getting to just really see the fruits of our labor and how children are growing. We were able to see this year that all of our children last year grew in the areas that we were focusing on for our school improvement plan. So social foundations are where we're really going to put a lot of our time and our effort. I know from talking with our elementary principals, they want children that are ready to learn. And so they've really asked us to focus on those social foundation skills. So following directions, emotion identification, and self-control strategies are 3 that we focused on, and you can see there the growth that we made over this past year. And we know that growth is there because of Power BI. We still have challenges, obviously, as we are looking to continue our work in our school improvement plan. Part of that is collaboration time, planning, and PLCs. And that's because we're open from 6:30 to 5:30. And so we have little time when we don't have children in the building, which is not really awful by any means, but it does kind of put a little kink in trying to find time during the day where I can pull the whole staff together. So we're working really hard to adjust our staff meeting time and to plan things a little bit differently so that we have time. That happened this morning. And I just watched our staff work together to plan effectively. And I was hearing not only great conversation about our curriculum and lesson plans, but I was hearing laughter and seeing smiles. And at one point I looked over and two people were like shoulder bumping each other. And that to me just speaks volumes about the necessity of that time together. So we're also working hard to make sure that our community knows who we are. This year we have 9 students that are enrolled in our half-day program. Students without IEPs can now come to the half-day program. Our community doesn't know that, so we're really trying to get that information out, working with our parent council and just spreading that word through different community partners that you can enroll your child with us in the half-day program or full-day program with and without IEPs. And then we have a school social worker now, and so she's really helping me with student attendance. That is not something that we took. We didn't do a great job of taking daily attendance in the past. Part of that was a structural issue with getting our kids into Skyward. And part of that was because we didn't have someone dedicated to really focusing on school attendance. So our new social worker is taking off with that, doing a great job already. So here are some promising practices. We're going to continue to dive into our data through Power BI. I mentioned that we're working on redoing our staff meeting schedule to allow for collaborative planning and PLC time, increasing our participation in community events, and we're doing that through our school social worker. She has taken that from me, which I love. I love that she's jumping in. I also love being involved with our community. So I'm trying to find the balance for me in that and giving Mackenzie that opportunity to get to know community partners. And then obviously continuing to have her engage with families, reaching out to make sure that families know the importance of attendance, strong school attendance, even though it's not required by the state, for their children before they start kindergarten. Okay, my favorite part. All right, Miss Dee Dee, remember I told you there'd be a picture of you? Okay, so I asked Miss Dee Dee to come, Dorothy, because you know that I've heard, or I've talked a lot. Okay, Miss Dee Dee, come here. So I know that inclusion is really important to us. And Dee Dee, this is a picture of Dee Dee and one of our other students last year. And Dee Dee wanted to go to the park and play, and her mom was setting up some play dates and mentioned this little friend. The innocence and the beauty of 2 children playing together because they're children, not because of anything other than they just want to be together.
No. It's okay. Yeah. 10 minutes. Yay.
And then a parent who is gone well above and beyond is Claire Schroba. So Claire, Jay, you want to go with Mama?
I want to see your.
Listen. Kindergarten is exhausting. And RJ started kindergarten this year. So last year we started a PTO. And that was a huge, huge help to not only to our school, our community, but our families to get that piece, that connection piece. And Claire was instrumental in helping with that. And then we received a garden grant. And Claire all of a sudden comes up with all these plants and flowers and everything. And she is constantly there supporting the work that we're doing. We held a snowball dance here in your boardroom in January. And I'll tell you what, Claire just worked so hard to make sure that all families were represented, that all families had a great time. We had the dance going on here, but we also had a sensory room next door. And she was just so in tune to and aware of what families and children needed to enjoy their experience. So I'm grateful and sad that we don't have her anymore.
Thank you so much.
You want to go? RJ, you can get up there.
What about your stuffy? Does your stuffy?
My last group, Ben was going to come from Charleston and he is not able to because his manager at the Castleton location has a flooded basement. And so Ben is serving food tonight. But Charleston's is just an incredible community supporter. And I have worked with them at the Westfield Carmel location and Adam in the past. And then when I came here to the Early Learning Center, Adam connected me with Ben. And there's something special about being able to bring in pasta and salad and croissants and all this food for our staff. And I know that's not why anyone comes to work, but coming to work and knowing that you are valued, knowing that you didn't have to pack your lunch for a couple of days because they give us so much food. It takes something off the plate of our teachers. And I love being able to do that. And I couldn't do that if we didn't have partners. So not only does Charleston's bring us food several times throughout the school year, but then they gave us $50 gift cards, 200. We pass out to staff. And it really wasn't supposed to be 200, but they made a mistake. And so then 200 arrived and I was like, let me send back 100. And they were like, nope, just keep them. And so it's been really neat to stick those in end of the year goodie bags for the teachers and beginning of the year welcome back bags for teachers. So that's just been a lovely part of our relationship. So I would love to encourage everyone to go to Charleston. And then certainly couldn't do any of this without the foundation and their support. So we use Teacher Treasure like there's nobody's business. We are always going either to town or now to our new location here in our district. So over $19,000 worth of supplies have come into the Early Learning Center. And then our Donors Choose, we actually had to stop writing Donors Choose because we were taking too much of the foundation's money. Our staff just does so much to get high quality materials in the hands of children. We don't have an instructional supply fee. We don't have a pure pupil amount that comes. to us. So we have to search for different ways to get that material. And Donors Choose has been fantastic. And then we all, several of us received grants totaling over $8,000. The grants have been lovely. One of my favorite ones have been these inclusive dolls. So great dolls. They kind of look like American Girl dolls, that size, but they came with seeing eye dogs. They came with walkers. They came with crutches, hearing aids, glasses. So now we've got kids in classrooms that see themselves in the toys that they are playing with. And that always makes my heart. So that is the Early Learning Center. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Parisi. All right. If you guys are welcome to stay, but if you guys want to stay for the rest of our meeting, we would love it. But if not, you guys are free to leave. All right, next up, we will have the consent agenda by, oh, nope, sorry, nope, my bad. Superintendent announcements, Dr. Taylor.
Thank you, President Thompson. Good evening, members of the board. Good evening, public. Great job, ELC. We're ready. Way to start the year off strong with the school spotlights. Have several pieces of good news to share with the board this evening. First up, I wanted to share an attachment, a letter that we received from a grandparent this summer before the school year started, who was complimenting our students and staff for the summer musical performance of Footloose. And so take a good look at that letter, but he was super impressed with how that musical performance went. That was put on by Miss Knoll from Northview Middle School and Miss Noss, who supports our North Central Performing Arts, and it just sounds like it was a great event. And I know we had several staff who attended that and were extremely complimentary of that as well. When you think about our summer enrichment programming that we offer to our students in Washington Township, that was just one highlight of the summer. Also wanted to share a shout out to Miss Fry. Lovely article written about her in recognition of her outstanding leadership in the law field. So wanted to send that shout out to the board so you can have a look at that. As she was highlighted for her profession, for her leadership, and all that she is doing in such an important field of public defending. Indiana property tax policy article. I know we've talked a lot about Senate Bill 1 and property taxes in this district. I know we've talked a lot about our operating referendum renewal, and we'll continue to be talking about that. But I wanted to share the attached opinion article from Ball State professor of economics Michael Hicks, who argues that Indiana's 2025 property tax changes provided relatively modest relief to homeowners while delivering substantially larger tax reductions to businesses, resulting in growing fiscal pressure on local governments and school corporations. As we know, we have several school corporations, approximately just under 40, that are going for an operating referendum in addition to us. And so that validates that concern. But I wanted to share that article because he also raises concerns about proposals that we continue to hear about in state legislators for further reductions or eliminations even of property taxes, arguing that replacing them with sales or other statewide taxes could shift more of the tax burden to families, weaken local control, affect school referendum funding, and potentially jeopardize local government's bond ratings. And so I share that to say one of our concerns and why we chose to go for a 2026 operating referendum renewal was because of volatility like this that we anticipate continuing to occur legislatively in Indiana moving forward. Washington Township Teachers Treasure Store Started off this year with a bang. Awesome data. On August 4th alone, we had 74 teachers shop. Over $26,000 of product was distributed for free to our teachers to benefit our students with school supplies. And so just continue to be thankful for the foundation, continue to be thankful for that partnership with Teachers Treasures and what it's doing for our community. We also have some iRead 3 celebration results to share. We got those numbers back yesterday. I'm proud to say that we have another year of academic growth when it comes to passing the iRead exam. We're at 1.8% up from a year ago last year. So I shared some data with you across all of our schools. I'll have a more detailed analysis in your weekly update where we'll actually compare subgroup data. But right now, basically just wanted to shout out the fact that Allisonville, Crooked Creek, Nora, Spring Mill, and Willow Lake are all up from last year. Nora, Spring Mill, and Willow Lake had huge gains, but huge kudos. Allisonville at 90%. And then you got to say those Bulldogs over at Spring Mill are doing phenomenal work. 95%. That is the state goal. That's also our 2030 strategic plan goal as a district. So way to go, Spring Mill, and setting the bar high for the rest of us. So shout out there. And then also I've gotten several questions about how is the new cell phone legislation impacting our poor North Central High School students? How will they ever be able to handle that change? And I'm pleased to say that our students are handling it quite well. I got an update from Dr. Seaver today, who says that basically on the first day of implementation, North Central teachers submitted no classroom requests for confiscation. And since then, we've had fewer than 10 requests per day. So for a school of about 3,600 students, that's outstanding. No compliance issues when we have to confiscate. Parents are on board, teachers are on board, and so we're off and running. And I will also endorse the fact that Dr. Seaver pinpoints that across JEL, True North, and North Central, there is an apparent climate shift already with that change. With the amount of conversing happening in our cafeterias, we've had 0 physical altercations to start the year thus far. And so we celebrate our North Central High School getting off to a strong start along with JEL and True North. So that is all for my soup announcements. I'll turn it back over to you, President Thompson.
All right. Yeah, please.
I just wanted to add an anecdote to that. When I was helping on the first day at West Lane and I was helping kids open their lockers at the beginning of the day, kid was having a problem. She didn't have her schedule that has the locker information on it. And so she said, I took a picture of it on my phone. And she was like, is it okay if I get out my phone to pull up the picture? But the fact that on day one, like before the bell rang, this 6th grader was like, I know I cannot have my phone out. It was really refreshing. So, another anecdote to back that up. Thank you.
All right. Comments from the public. Any comments from the public? No one signed up, so we will move on to the consent agenda. Dr. Kaiser.
Thank you, President Thompson, members of the board. I recommend that you approve the consent agenda for this meeting. The consent agenda includes approval of minutes of the July 22nd, 2026 reorganization meeting and regular board meeting, approval of 3 payroll calculation summary reports, a claims docket in the amount of $6,317,739.02, a special personnel item in accordance with Indiana Code 20-26-5-11.2, and a human resources report containing classified personnel, 26 new hires, numbers 32 through 57, 21 resignations, numbers 21 through 42, 1 termination, number 3, and 4 leaves, numbers 4 through 8. For certified personnel, 18 new appointments, numbers 73 through 90, 4 resignations, numbers 104 to 107, and 9 transfers, numbers 17 through 25. There are two non-competitive grants, gifts, donations, or routine and/or professional service agreement renewals to present for board approval. The 26 through 28 non-competitive Title III grant from the IDOE in the amount of $269,242, and the agreement renewal with the Employee Assistance Group to provide employee assistance program services in the amount of $21.85 per employee per year, for a total of $39,788.85 for the 2026-2027 school year, based on 1,821. Information has been provided in your board packet for your review. This concludes my presentation of the consent agenda.
Board, are there any questions? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
That we approve the consent agenda as presented by Dr. Kaiser?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. My aye as well. That's
Are you voting no or?
no, yeah, and so it's weird because how do I say aye and then I say aye again? Well, figure it out. Okay. Next up, Mrs. Smith. Approval of reappointment of special education legal counsel and bond counsel.
Good evening. Thanks, President Thompson, Superintendent, members of the board. I bring to you this evening for the reappointment of different legal counsels. If you recall, our last board meeting, we had our district school attorney. And then this time we're bringing back our special education legal counsel and our bond counsel. So previously, several years ago, we agreed that every 3 years we would want to bring these two back to the board to make sure that they're, competitive, exactly what we're needing, still working for the district and so on. So I am bringing this back to the board. The last time we did this was in 2023. So we're in 2026 now, and there are no significant changes to any of the agreements that you see attached in your board docs. Minor changes to some of the hourly rates, but very, very small. And I would be happy to answer any questions the board may have regarding either one of these agreements. And I'd ask for your approval as presented.
Board, any questions? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Move that we approve the reappointment of special education legal counsel and bond counsel as presented by Mrs. Smith.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. I am an aye as well. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. I did want to add, I'm sorry I did not mention the names of them. For the special ed would be Church, Hiddle, and Atrim. And then for bond counsel would be Ice Miller. Apologize.
Next up, Ms. Smith Show, approval of resolution to reallocate supplemental homestead credit.
Oh, this is a fun one. So going back in time with the legislative session of one of the complexities that were established, and that was for the new supplemental homestead credit and how it affects schools and which funds that it does impact. So the original intent was that the full amount of this credit that is given to taxpayers is a loss for school districts. That for our district is approximately $1.4 million for this year. In doing that, they had a lot of pushback from a lot of people saying, hey, that's a total loss in our operations fund, along with all the other credits, property tax credits, all those other circuit breaker credits, all those other things that are hitting districts. So they went back to the table and they approved for to be able to spread out some of that impact. And in doing so, they approved that we could use our debt service fund as part of that. In your board docs, you'll see that that amount that we could reallocate through our debt service fund is $342,000. So instead of the full 1.4 hitting our operations fund, we were able to utilize that percentage that they allocated for our debt service fund from the cash balance of the debt service fund. So I know this gets pretty complex, so I want to kind of explain just a couple things for you. So that the amount for debt service is about 23% that can be reallocated so it doesn't directly impact straight to the operations fund. In doing that, there is an accounting mechanism that allows us to basically do a transfer of that cash balance that's left in debt service fund that we're not utilizing for payments. For debt service, we're allowed to have certain thresholds of cash balance, and we're able to transfer that to our operations fund for that difference of that impact. So 340 some would come through our debt service fund cash balance, and then only 1.1 would be affected in the operations fund. So if you think of it as just an accounting mechanism, instead of booking a negative into our operations fund, we're able to utilize two funds where the 1.1 is a direct negative out of our operations, but the other's out of cash balance. So it doesn't come directly out of our revenue that is coming from the state, a direct negative from that revenue. So it is pretty complex. I would say I've heard through my colleagues about 99% have elected to do this. So it's a 3-part system. Dr. Taylor had to notify them by May 15th if we wanted to participate in this option, and we did. I've met with Baker Tilly, our financial advisors, to streamline and go through all the scenarios of which way would be best for the district. And of course, having not a full $1.4 million impact to our operations was the best for our district, along with about 99% of other districts in the state. The second is this resolution that you do see in your board packet that must have board approval for us to make this accounting adjustment later this fall with the property taxes that we receive. So the third, of course, step would be to do that accounting transfer. So we were asking for the board's approval for this resolution for the second step of this process for us to be able to utilize that cash balance in order not to negatively affect our operations fund in the full $1.4 million. I'd be happy to answer any questions because I know that's pretty complex, but would ask for the board's approval of this resolution as presented.
Board, any questions? Ms. Fry?
I know the answer, but I want to ask it really
Absolutely.
just for the record. This is having zero impact on anybody's actual tax bill, right?
Absolutely.
It's really
Yep,
just
it's-
a matter of where the hit hits us.
Exactly. Yep, 100%.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I will call for a motion.
I move we approve the resolution to reallocate supplemental homestead credit as presented by Mrs. Smith.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. I'm an aye as well, 5-0. Thank you. All right, next up, conduct a district-wide vending services, Ms. Smith.
Sure. Currently, our vending services are provided through various arrangements throughout the district. So not just one company, various different companies, various different types of machines and such throughout the district. So we are looking at conducting a full district request for proposal for vending services. This could present cost savings, opportunities, commissions, different commission revenue generators, maybe some partnerships that might do some other donations to the district. So we would like to post this request for proposal and solicit bids for those companies that do vending services and see if that might benefit the district. So we are asking the board's approval for us to move forward with conducting this district-wide request for proposal as presented. The other thing I would like to add is even if we get those in and it doesn't seem advantageous for the district to do that, we can still not award any. So it's just that proposal to conduct the request for proposal.
Just doing due diligence. Board, any questions? Ms. Fry?
Looking at the RFP where you actually list kind of the schools and
Mhm.
you know, the machines, I assume that reflects that you've already done kind of an audit of
Yep.
what is already out there.
I sure did. We did a survey to each school and had them list that. That's a small portion that I included in the RFP. But I also had a full survey done from each building of even like what they had in their drink machines, what they had in their snack machines. So when we start soliciting that and they call in and they have questions, that always happens with an RFP, then we can provide more information to each one of those vendors in more detail.
Board, any further questions? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve to conduct a district-wide vending services RFP as presented by Mrs. Smith.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Next up, Mr. Boots, approval of agreement for HVAC design services for Transportation and Services Center.
Thank you, President Thompson, and good evening, Dr. Taylor and members of the board. I am here this evening asking approval of the agreement with Schmidt Associates for design services for the heating, ventilating, and air conditioning upgrades at the Transportation and Services Center facilities. The heating and air conditioning is being added to the bus maintenance facility, and an existing air handling unit at the Services Center that is at the end of its useful life is being replaced. This unit was not originally in the renovation program, but has now been determined to be on its last legs. Schmidt was the designer of the original renovations at both of these facilities, and their in-depth knowledge of the facilities made them the primary candidate for this project. Excuse me. The financial impact is $75,500, and that will come out of operations funds. Happy to answer any questions.
Board, any questions? Mr. Turner?
So thinking back, before a lot of the renovations happened on the campus, wasn't there an issue with, I mean, I think about the same building that didn't have air. The old transportation center, they did maintenance in that. Is that a different, this is in the new,
Yes, this is actually going into the bus maintenance,
so it's a different.
say barn, the big part where they
Big
actually
part.
work on the buses. if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah,
Yeah, we did not do that during the original renovation of the
Right.
transportation, but we did replace much of the air conditioning in the office portion.
okay, so it's been warm for a while, or this unit, the one unit that we had is now failing?
That's correct. It's all new for that part of the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
On days like we've had when it's 90 and humid, it is very, very hot.
I thought we did a tour where they talked about that. Wasn't that? Yeah, we had fans in there.
Yeah, there are fans. It moves 90-degree air, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just,
I was, the fans were added during the referendum, remodel project. There wasn't AC in the garage, so that's what we're looking to add.
okay.
The heating that system needed to be enhanced, so we're doing it all together as one. And then, we tag on to this for the services center for the one unit that serves a pretty large area that's.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Ms. George Davis?
I just want to make sure I'm reading this correctly. This is not coming out of, sorry.
Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Thank you.
I just want to make sure I'm reading this correctly. This is the operations budget, not referendum dollars.
That is correct. It will come out of operations.
Thank you.
Ms. Fry?
Sorry, this is kind of a nitpicky question. It just popped into my head. But I had the chance to do a self-guided tour of the operations center recently, and it did occur to me, some of those hallways and whatnot are very low use still at this point. And I remember walking through and thinking, gosh, like cooling and heating all of this is, probably quite a bit. So I'm just curious. I know it probably has nothing to do with this specifically, but is there any ability either through this or through anything else we're doing over there to have like zones that to try to prove, so we don't have to do the whole building when we're not
Right.
using every part of it?
Yes, there is with the new system. We can control those areas. What has happened is the band of high and low is larger, so we're not quite conditioning as much. But we also don't want to let it get out of control. Humidity, chilliness, all those things add age to that building very quickly.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the agreement for HVAC design services for the transportation center and the services as presented by Mr. Boots.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Boots. Next up, Mr. Delay, adult education.
President Thompson, members of the board, Dr. Taylor. I'm here today seeking approval for a $10,000 grant through the Coalition of Adult Basic Education. Purpose of this grant is to provide our adult education students with the opportunity to enroll in the National Career for Construction, Education, and Research. NCCER certification provides our students with industry-recognized credentials that prepare them for careers in construction industry. More importantly, the certification creates a pathway for our students to connect with employers and apprenticeship programs, giving them the opportunity to move directly from education to training to a career. The grant would also allow us to expand opportunities for our students, provide meaningful credentials, and strengthen the connection between adult education and workforce development. At this time, any questions?
Board, any questions? I have a comment. I think it's great that you're applying for a grant, and I encourage you to do it more and as much as you can. So, seeing nothing else, I'll entertain a motion. Sorry.
I move that we approve adult education applying for the COABE funding opportunity as presented by Mr. Delay.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Delay.
Good luck.
And last, information item by Dr. Whitman.
Good evening, President Thompson, members of the board, Dr. Taylor. This information item is a requirement under Indiana Code 2028-11-5-9 that needs to be submitted every year before August 15th to the board in an open session to share the aggregate results of staff performance evaluations from the prior year. So as part of our ongoing commitment to academic excellence and staff development, in your board packet, you will find a summary of teacher performance evaluations from 2022 through the 2025-26 school year. These evaluations are aligned with our 2030 district strategic plan and support our district's mission to nurture our students into tomorrow's leaders by cultivating learning environments that ignite innovation, amplify diverse and critical thinking, and inspire growth and achievement. You'll notice that in the 25-26 results, they reflect continued strong performance across the district. Of the 818 educators that were evaluated, 802, or approximately 98%, were rated highly effective or effective. This is consistent with previous years. While the number of highly effective decreased from 481 to 457, the number rated effective actually increased from 329 to 345. Those rated as improvement necessary decreased from 17 to 15. Overall, the 4-year trend demonstrates a sustained instructional quality, with the number of educators rated as highly effective increasing by 64 since 2022-2023, and nearly all educators continue to meet or exceed the district's performance expectations. With that, I am happy to answer any questions if you may have.
Board, questions? Ms. Georgievas.
So with the decrease in highly effective, is it safe to assume they are still effective? None of them That's not this ineffect, like
That is correct.
the highly effective didn't suddenly
Yes.
become ineffective. They just kind of dropped a little bit into, they're still doing their jobs.
I can tell you from reviewing the data, there is one that went from effective to needs improvement.
But yet, and still that number still decreased though, which means somebody bumped up.
Correct. And if it's helpful to know, of the 16 that are in improvement necessary or ineffective, 8 of them have chosen to find their bliss in another district or someplace else, another profession, so they're no longer with us. Of those that are in those 2 lower categories that remain with the district, we are providing official supports to help improve their performance.
Board, any other questions? All right. Thank you, Dr. Whitman.
Thank you.
All right. Last but certainly not least, special events and liaison reports. I'll start down with Mr. Turner.
I did not participate in anything this past couple of weeks.
Ms. Fry.
Just back to school, which is probably my very favorite thing to do as a board member. I was at Fox Hill and Westline on the first day of school, so morning and afternoon. Great. Always, I mean, honestly, always impressed by how smoothly. It's always like knock on wood, but I mean, at Fox Hill, bells at like 7:40. I mean, by 7:50, it was like there weren't even really kids trickling in anymore. The hallways were quiet. Like, I mean, first day. And within 10 minutes of the bell, it honestly felt like any other school day, which I was pretty blown away. And I got to see some of Westlake's 6th grade assembly at the end of the day. But I mean, as always, really heartwarming. I'm sorry, I'll take one more moment.
No.
One of the things I love about it is I at the elementary, since I know Fox Hill's layout, I usually take the job of helping, kids who don't know where they're going get to their classrooms. And there's always, kids who, are barely even able to tell us their name, whether it's, due to language skills or whether it's, just due to being nervous or whatever. And honestly, it always almost makes me teary-eyed because I look at these kids showing up. I mean, some of these kids who don't speak any English, kids, with all different kinds of needs, kids who are nervous, kids who are excited. And, I walk them and sometimes I got to just find their way to the grade. And then we go through teacher classes and we just figure it out. But I'm always amazed. I'm like, I can't fathom, honestly, me like being a teacher and like here I am, and all of a sudden I have all these kids who are just coming and, with all these variety of sort of needs and resources, I would not know the first thing to do with those kids. And then I'm like, but we do. Like our teachers, our staff, like it does not faze them. I can walk in with a child who like can't even pronounce their full name, and we have a hard time figuring out where they go. And we figure out where they go, and it doesn't faze the teachers at all. And I'm not a teacher, but it really makes you appreciate the professionalism that is required of teachers, and that they are real professionals. But also, it makes me thankful always and appreciative that we are in a district where we have great staff. We have trained our staff really well so that when all these kids show up, hi, here I am. We know what to do. We know how to accommodate all of them and all their needs. And it's always just amazing to me to get that reminder the first day. Sorry, that went like.
It's okay. Ms. George Davis.
I have nothing to report, although I have a feeling after I meet with Dr. Taylor tomorrow that might change.
Ms. Hoyt Kruger.
Well, I have the opportunity to sit in on the referendum meetings weekly, every other week, and that's always very inspiring about the work that's being done. And then met with Dr. Taylor and President Thompson to talk about this meeting, and met with President Thompson to talk about board work for the rest of the year.
Yep. And I also had a really, really good time doing first day support. Crooked Creek and Eastwood in the morning. I always love the lockers. Lockers are so much fun for 6th graders. And then in the afternoon, I did dismissal at Fox Hill. North Central and Eastwood. At Fox Hill, I got to ask the kindergartners, I was like, how was your first day? And I was like, how did you guys do without a nap? And they were like, we loved it. And I was like, yeah, they're going to go sleep as soon as they get home. It's always fun because they don't get up. So it was a really, really good time. And then just a reminder, I did Panther Prep at North Central passing out schedules. That's always cool too. And then North Central has their scrimmage Friday at North Central versus Noblesville. So starting off the football season this week. So that's it. All right. I think that's it. So I will call for a motion to adjourn. All right. It moved in second. Yeah. Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion adjourned.